Hi, I'm Officer Gomez. I am a school resource officer in Idaho. Today I'm going to be talking to parents about marijuana and some of the conversations you need to start having with your kids when they enter elementary school, maybe even a little sooner. I have always been a firm believer that parents are the number one anti drug there is. Parents, you influence your kids a lot more than you think. So let's give you some information you'll need to successfully have conversations with your kids to hopefully keep them from smoking marijuana or doing anything else with it. THC, tetrahydrocannabinol. This is the scientific name for what makes people high in marijuana. THC has been around for a long time. In the 1960s, THC percentages in marijuana were less than 5%. Nowadays, in 2023, we're up around 20% depending on where you get your data from. The THC potency of marijuana can be increased by boiling it down and making it into a concentrate, which on the street we call dabs and shatter and a few other things that we'll talk about as we go. So, how are kids actually consuming marijuana these days? Kids are still rolling marijuana joints just like they have since the 1960s. You get some rolling paper, you put your raw marijuana in there, you lick it like they have, and then you smoke it just like they always have. A couple of issues with this is that because there's no filter, it actually burns the back of your tongue going down. The other thing when they're smoking it like this, you can actually tell for about an hour that their tongues will be green after smoking a marijuana joint. Now, in order to combat the heat burning their tongue, kids will smoke marijuana through a water bong. What this does is it cools the smoke before it goes into your mouth and lungs so that it doesn't leave any burn blisters or things like that that kids might not like. And a water bong is just that. You'll see a plastic smoking device with a little bit of water at the bottom, and if you hear somebody smoking marijuana through a water bong, it'll gurgle just like you would expect it to. A newer way kids are smoking marijuana is through vapes. Vapes now come production level in the throwaway bars that you just smoke it like you would a joint, but it's a production level vape. And this does not leave the burn marks that a joint would. They're also very small. Some of them are very odorless, and you still get the THC high that you would from a marijuana joint. Edibles. Edibles are basically marijuana cooked into food. These days, Rice Krispie treats, brownies, cookies, gummy bears, all kinds of things have marijuana or THC in them that can get you high. Now, the dangerous thing about edibles is it takes a while for the high to catch up to you. So, let's say a candy bar, and you're supposed to take just a small square of it. Kids will eat 2 or 3 squares because they don't get the high and they think they haven't taken enough. Well, by the time it catches up to them, it makes them sick. They might get dizzy, they might throw up, they might run into some kind of overdose situation. Although it's not too common to have overdose on marijuana, you'll just have sickness and spins, is what I understand from talking to the kids. Concentrates. This is where you boil down the marijuana and get a much higher concentrate of marijuana. And we have dabs, we have shatter, we have some of the oils that we can get up around 80% THC. This makes you a lot higher than it would if you just consumed it by smoking the marijuana plant. And talking to kids, a lot of them don't like to do too many of the dabs or the shatter because then it ruins the normal marijuana high because you're used to such a much higher concentrate of marijuana. Now, working at the school, I see some genius ways that kids are smoking marijuana. They'll use an apple, they'll use a potato, then there's always a 10 millimeter socket wrench thing that it's kind of a joke, as I haven't seen too many actual 10 millimeter sockets used, but that is the joke going around school, that everybody's 10 millimeter socket is gone because they're using it to smoke marijuana. So how are kids getting marijuana? Well, in Idaho, as you know, we still don't allow recreational or medicinal marijuana. Well, it's easy for them to get because we have marijuana in all the states surrounding us. It's easy for them to go to Oregon, it's easy for them to go to Washington, and they bring back marijuana for all their friends. Now, it's just like in old days trying to get alcohol. You get somebody who's 21 and can legally buy it, then you buy it from them. Of course, for kids in high school, there's going to be a markup, and it's usually, I don't even know how much the markup is. It's going to be depending on what you have going on. But there's always a markup. There's always a reason for it. Talk to your kids. Who are they getting their marijuana? It's really easy. They can also order it online now. You can have it delivered. Again, it's harder to get it delivered to Idaho, but it can be done. Where are kids using marijuana at? Usually at their house when parents are at work or when parents are home. Some parents don't believe that marijuana is a big deal, And I like to explain to parents that marijuana, alcohol, tobacco, those are some of the biggest choices you're ever going to make that affect your entire life. So this is a battle worth fighting. And as a parent, it's really worth it to keep your kids from smoking marijuana, because this could alter their life significantly for many, many, many years to come. All right, some early signals your child might be smoking marijuana. Number one, do a backpack check, do a car check, and look for marijuana. If you catch them with the vape, look at the labels on the marijuana. A lot of times the vapes that have marijuana in them have a marijuana leaf on them, or they have a THC percentage on there. It's usually easy to tell the actual manufactured marijuana vapes. It's easy to tell if they have marijuana in their backpacks or their cars. You'll smell it, and nothing else smells like marijuana. So do a check every once in a while. The other kind of signs is some mood swings. Now, those of you that have teenagers know that teenagers mood swing anyways, but something outside of their normal. Some of their friends start to change. They start staying up all night. They start quitting everything. They start giving up on school. They start giving up on work. These are all signs that they could be on marijuana. Again, some of those are normal teenager things as well. So again, as a parent, be sneaky, do your due diligence in checking out your kid, because the earlier you find out if they're doing anything that needs to be fixed, the better chance you have of fixing it, and it's a lot easier the earlier you catch it. What happens if you catch your kid smoking marijuana? Well, let's battle this. And we don't want you to battle it alone. There's many, many other people who have battled it before you. So look up some resources on how to battle this. Now, if you live in a big city, there's likely some organizations and some groups that you can go to help you with that. If not, there's a lot of online resources on there. Just type in, hey, I need help having my child quit smoking marijuana. You'll find a lot of resources, a lot of tips and tricks. You might have to try several to find what works for you and your child, but keep on trying. Again, it's a very worthwhile battle. Here's some statistics that I'm going to put on the screen regarding marijuana and what kind of things might help you or might help you have a good conversation with your kids, just so you know the status of marijuana in Idaho. Now, some companies and people try and get around the illegalities of marijuana by making synthetics. These are like Delta 8s, Delta 9s, Delta 10s, some other things that you can buy at gas stations that are synthetic marijuana. They don't have the chemical structure of marijuana, therefore it's not illegal under the marijuana statutes. Although usually the state catches up sooner or later and makes them illegal. So if you see Delta 8, Delta 9, Delta 10, some of these things that are derivatives of marijuana, it's the same as marijuana. As soon as they get your child hooked, they're going to end up on regular marijuana sooner or later. So again, talk to your kids. Have you heard of Delta 8? Have you heard of Delta 9? Have you heard of Delta 10? Have you heard of some of the gas station synthetics that are selling that kids in your high school might be trying? I don't see a lot of these at the school level. I do see some in the community level, but at the school, every once in a while you'll see that this is not something that is crazy going through the schools, but something that parents should know about.
Here's a few tips for talking to your kids about substance misuse. Number one, tell your kids you disapprove of misusing drugs and alcohol. If they know that it's against what you believe and what you want them to do, it's going to help them when the option comes up for them to possibly drink alcohol or take a drug that they shouldn't be taking. Show your kid you care about them. When you're having conversations with your kid, tell them why you don't want them to do drugs. Tell them why you care about them so much. Tell them what you want from their future. Tell them the things that are important to you and your family so that they understand why you're making some of the decisions you're making and why you're telling them not to do drugs or alcohol. Establish yourself as a trustworthy source. That means doing a little research on drugs and alcohol before you speak with your kid about it. If you come at your kid with some crazy, saying, hey, if you drink alcohol, it's going to make your, big pinky toe fall off or something crazy that isn't true, your kid's going to just dismiss you very quickly. So do some research, talk to them as a human being, and talk to them as a smart human being that has reasoning capabilities and can listen to your reasonable action items you have for them not to drink or do drugs. Show your kids you are paying attention. Hey, this means, hey, I notice you have some new friends. I notice you have good grades. I notice, hey, you seem happier this week. You seem sadder this week. Let's pay attention to our kids. This is one of your biggest jobs as a parent. Pay attention to your kids. they like to know that parents care about them and are watching and are helping them. If you're just kind of spying in the background or just berating everything they do, they're not going to like that very much. So let's enjoy our kids. I mean, that's the best, funnest thing to do anyway. So pay attention to them. Let them know you care about them. Build your child's strategies for saying no to alcohol and drugs. This means, hey, let's talk through a bonfire party where some cute person might come up to them and offer them drugs or offer them alcohol. Let's talk to them about the first college party where somebody's going to offer them, hey, here's some alcohol, have this because it's super fun, right? And this includes tabletop discussions. Hey, what are you going to do in this situation? How are you going to handle it? And these talks need to start in middle school. Your middle school child, hey, what's going to happen when somebody offers you a vape? What's going to happen when somebody offers you to have a drink of their Gatorade that they're passing around the class and you know there's something wrong with it? And it should be, hey, here's the strategies. And a lot of the strategies, especially with younger kids, is, no, my parents really check out what I do. They are paying attention to what I do. And I don't want to disappoint them by doing something that I'm not supposed to. I'm Officer Gomez. Thanks for watching my little talk. I will have some extra information down in the comments. And stay tuned for some other videos. We're going to go over some other popular teen drugs to help parents catch up with what's happening today.